Please welcome leader of the Venezuelan Democratic Movement and Vice President-Designate of Venezuela, María Corina Machado, in conversation with Sara Eisen, anchor at CNBC.
Hi, everybody. Well, this is a treat, I have to say. I'm very excited about this conversation. So thank you for those of you in the room. Hopefully we'll have more. I'd like to introduce our very distinguished guest, María Corina Machado. If you do not know her, you should know her. She has become the driving force of the opposition party in Venezuela. She is a symbol of hope and of change and perseverance for the millions of Venezuelans that support her. And just a little bit of history. So after she was basically banned from running in the last election, her candidate won by a historic 70% of the vote, according to reports. President Maduro begs to disagree. He says that he won the election and did not cede power. She is joining us from hiding, and we are so lucky and so grateful to have her. María Corina, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you, Sarah. My pleasure.
You specifically wanted to speak to this crowd. You are at the Milken Global Institute speaking to all the heavyweights in global finance and banking and business with a very specific message. So please, tell us what it is.
Well, thank you very much. This is a unique opportunity. I'm very grateful to the Milken Institute and to you, Sarah, for this opportunity. I want to convey directly what's at stake right now in Venezuela, not only for us Venezuelans, but for the whole hemisphere and for the national security of the United States. Today, Maduro has turned Venezuela into the criminal hub of the Americas. It's a safe haven for the enemies of our democracies, Western democracies. He has opened the gates of Latin America to external forces and networks such as agents of Iran, Russia, Islamic terrorist groups such as Hezbollah, Hamas. The drug cartels are operating freely, and they are all partners of the regime. So Maduro has turned Venezuela into a real threat for national security of the hemisphere and stability of the region. But the good news is that the regime is weaker than ever, and we have a real chance to go through a stable, orderly, and sustainable transition. And that would mean three things. First of all, a historic breakthrough for US security, a real ally. We will dismantle the drug trafficking groups, and we will create a protective shield for the whole continent. Secondly, we will unleash the unique potential of Venezuela, over $1 trillion in business opportunity in different sectors, not only oil and gas. And third, we will have for the first time a continent free of communism and dictatorship for the first time in history, because Cuba and Nicaragua will come then.
$1 trillion of business opportunities in Venezuela, I think, is the headline here for the session. When I think about it, I think about energy. I know that's a big part of the economy, but it's not everything that you have in mind here.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, you will say, you could ask, well, Venezuela has had, great, unique natural resource endowments for centuries. Why it's not being taken advantage of? And you can never have that under the Maduro regime, because Venezuela is the last country in the world in terms of rule of law or property rights. The only way we can take advantage of what Venezuela has is we have a serious, responsible government that open markets and has strong institutions to foster investment. Venezuela has the biggest, largest oil resources in the world. Today, we are producing only a couple 100,000 barrels a day. We will produce millions of barrels a day. We are the 8th country in the world with gas resources. We are the 5th country in the world with iron resources. We have gold resources, critical minerals, and over 2 kilometers of Caribbean coast and 311 islands unexplored. So it's technology, infrastructure, tourism, telecom, energy, minerals, everything. And only 5 days away from the Gulf Coast by ship and 3 hours away by flight from Caracas to Miami.
I mean, it's a compelling investment case, Maria Corina, but the problem is it's hard to see how to get from here to there. So how does this work? How will we see a regime change? And what are you thinking about in terms of the time frame as you speak to investors here today?
Well, it's a very valid and understandable question. And I imagine many people say this is the biggest opportunity in the hemisphere for decades to come. But how do we get there? And the good news is that we are closer than ever. Everything is different now. Not only because we defeated Maduro by a landslide last July 28th, and he's totally alone in terms of local support. We have an organized and vibrant civil society movement. Secondly, the economy is in collapse. It's falling apart. There's no way he can stop that. Third, he's totally internationally isolated. Only think about what used to be his supporters. How is Russia doing now? Is China going to support Maduro? Not now. Not going to fight with the United States for a regime that they know it's falling apart. How is doing Cuba? And well, you know very well the story of Iran and Syria.
Yeah.
So he's in a very bad shape. But the most important thing I have to say here, Sara, is that there is a total alignment with the Trump administration and the democratic forces in terms of how to increase pressure and to address the regime as it is, not a dictatorship, but a criminal structure. So you have to put in place a law enforcement approach. And that's exactly what is happening right now.
I was going to ask you about the Trump administration because they have made moves. They have put tariffs on countries that do business and buy Venezuelan oil. They have, banned the Chevron project. I'm wondering how effective all of that is and what more, if anything, they can do to help you get there.
It is very effective, and we are already seeing results. If you understand that this is a criminal structure and it represents a threat to the national security of the US and the hemisphere, and you address it as such, then you understand that you need to cut the flows of, authorized and illicit resources. When you cut those flows to a criminal structure, its rise starts to crumble down. And that's precisely what is happening right now. Maduro used all those resources that used to come from all licenses and illicit activities for corruption, for repression, and for propaganda of terror, to terrorize our people. Now, when those resources are reducing, those few that still supported Maduro are starting to look the other way around. So we need to keep putting pressure from abroad. We need to bring out all the information about criminal and corruption structures. Every single indictment that should be opened, unsealed, and also the cost of repression should be increased by holding accountable those that are perpetrators or financial enablers of the regime. Believe me, this regime is weaker than ever, and we are moving ahead, pressing from within and coordinating with the Trump administration and the international democratic allies.
Is there any more action you expect them to take?
Oh, yes, certainly. In the same direction I'm talking right now. We need to increase the cost of repression. We need to make all information about corruption available. And Maduro should understand that his best option is to accept what we have offered, a negotiated transition. We increase the cost of staying in power. We decrease the cost of getting out. we give the correct incentives and guarantees and prepare, because Venezuela, which we're going to turn it from the criminal hub of the Americas into the energy hub of the Americas, with huge, immense, unprecedented, unique opportunities for great investment from international companies, and of course, for the prosperity and reunification of Venezuelan families. We want our kids back home, Sara.
I was just going to ask you, about the people of Venezuela and what they are dealing with and how they are suffering and what the demographics look like and the economic opportunities and what you see as far as changes and the power of what you can do.
Well, what we're seeing here is a tragedy. Minimum salary, it's $1.5 a month. Our children go twice a week to school. Our young people have no opportunities to work, or to invest, to live. And almost a third of our population have been forced to flee because of horrible economic situation, but mostly because there's a lack of future. We have more than 2,000 people in prison just because they were involved in our electoral victory. But we are here standing still. We are stronger than ever. We are organizing more and more every day, and we are decided to go till the end. We have a wonderful diaspora who's been preparing, training, working really hard, and they long to come back to build together the greatest nation of this region, who is going to be, believe me, a unique opportunity, not only for Venezuela, for the whole Western Hemisphere.
I think it's so interesting that you're setting the seeds for this right now. I mean, you are clearly building this up and anticipating a big change. Have you had conversations with American business or global business or investors? Do you have people lined up?
Absolutely. And I'm very, very excited with the kind of reactions we've had. I want you to know that we are prepared to take over government from day one. We know what we have to do in the 100 first hours and the 100 first days in energy, security, transportation, public services, in the economy, how we're going to deal with our debt. Maduro has indebted Venezuela to a point that our creditors know they will not get paid but a cent if he stays in power. We are already prepared to talk with the IMF, to organize our finance, to restructure and pay our debt, because we need to get Venezuela back into the financial international circuit, because we're going to need huge investments in infrastructure, in all the sectors I mentioned before. So the answer is yes, in the energy sector, in the mineral sector, in infrastructure, and in tech, in the technology sector. So get prepared and also help us. Help the Venezuelan people get our mandate and our sovereign decision to be free and live in a democratic country be real. This can happen soon. And as I say, we're prepared for an orderly transition that will bring huge benefits, not only also for Venezuelan people, for international investors, and also, I will say, for the American people.
I mean, speaking at conferences like this, no doubt, are helpful. So we appreciate it. Just finally, in the few moments we have left, about you. You're obviously doing this at such great personal sacrifice and cost and risk around the safety. How do you process it all, and how do you continue to fight?
Well, Sara, it's been a long journey. Mm-hmm. I have to admit, I never thought getting involved into politics. I'm an engineer by training, and I was prepared to be a manager in the steel industry. But when you see your country falling apart and so much suffering, you realize that you have to get involved. And I'm so honored to be part of this huge citizen movement that has already defeated the regime. We defeated them spiritually, socially, culturally, and electorally, politically. What's left is to make them leave power And that will happen as well soon. So I get a lot of strength because I love my country. I can only conceive my life in freedom here. And I also want my children back home and see all Venezuelan children living with the opportunities we all deserve. And we're going to be all very proud to be Venezuelan and of this generation that has changed the history, not only of Venezuela, but the history of this hemisphere. Because I insist, once Venezuela is liberated, we will liberate Cuba, we will liberate Nicaragua, and we will have for the first time a continent free of communism and dictatorship for the first time in history. And that's how you can get prosperity and development for all.
Well, I can't wait to be there to help tell this story of your journey, and I am very proud to have this conversation with you. You can't see it, but you do have an audience full of, I think, very inspired people and attentive people listening. So thank you so much, Maria Corina, for taking the time.
Thank you, Sara, and we count on you.
We will
need you
stay in
all,
touch.
and we will make this happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much, and thank you all for joining us.
We hope you enjoyed the discussion.